過ぎた季節が嘘だとしても重ねたぬくもりは嘘じゃない君が残した背中の傷跡は今もずっと甘くてだからずっと痛くて
Yo, what it do, guys? Leon Mookie here, and I'm back with another chapter of The Radiant Hero of Light and Darkness. This is chapter 5, Izuku versus the Champion. So, with that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? As Izuku continues telling his story to Naomasa Tsukuguchi, with him heading back to the border town to basically, see if any of the villagers are settling in pretty well, if the guards are helping out somewhat, which Izuku is glad that they're trying their best to start a new life, given that their previous life was destroyed with their hometown. Even so, Izuku decided to stay in the town for at least a couple of days, just to see what he can do to help out the refugee villagers, which he just done by taking care of a couple of job quests, to be honest. Basically gathering some items, defeat a couple of monsters, and one unique mission. Basically, take out a giant mutated monster, or that the guild likes to call tyrant monsters. Tyrant monsters are basically higher level monsters that become even stronger by either, cannibalism, eating their own kind or other types of monsters, or by eating any humans, being that of humans, elves, dwarves, beast humans, and demonic humans. So they are dangerous. And it's always good to take care of them from time to time, given that they can destroy any country's ecosystem, after all, which Izuku and his party were able to take care of, even though it was a tough match to fight against. But thanks to Izuku's fusion arts and also Volio's experience in battle, they were able to take it pretty quick. Within a couple jobs later, they were heading to that of the Empire. However, heading to the crossroads, they ended up meeting a couple of demonic humans, which everyone was on guard for a split second. However, the demonic humans were basically running away from a couple of bandits, to be honest. With Izuku basically having enough of bandits like this, deciding to take him down alongside Edward and Dorgan too, which these bandits weren't even that much of a problem. After kicking their asses, Izuku and the others decided to help out the demonic humans and asking them where they're going, as they say that they're going to the kingdom of Gaoleeo. After hearing that kingdom's name, Volio was a little bit, taken back a little bit. Then Izuku still wanted to help out the innocent people. Seeing this, Volio just kept his mouth shut for the time being, as they took care of a couple of monsters that were in the way, got a couple of materials that Izuku and the others could use to actually gain some new weapons and gear, which they began realizing that their current gear is starting to wear and tear now. After a 2-week-long journey, Izuku and his party, alongside the innocent demonic humans, were able to make it to the Gaulian kingdom, the kingdom of warriors. As they continue going to other villages and towns, they finally make it to the capital. As they see the capital, it's being that of a massive city, right between that of a canyon, and at the top of the canyons lays that of a massive coliseum. But running through the canyons is being that of a beautiful long river, with everybody surprised, with getting to one side of the canyon by having that of stone bridges, with stone and sturdy bridges actually. With Izuku was really taken back, as he's only been to that of Crystallis, which it being that of a holy kingdom of pure white and light and light blue in a way. But now that he's here in that of Gaoleeo, he realized that everything here was built with pure hard work, while keeping the natural order of the canyon still somewhat intact. However, what really took Izuku back about the kingdom is that everybody knew Gaoleeo, as it's not surprising given that he's one of the best adventurers in Taltius. But what really shows that people actually looked up to Gaoleeo, more like that of a guide or some acting like that of fanboys, fangirls, some women literally throwing themselves at him. From human, elves, dwarves, and demonic humans, not just beast humans as well. With Izuku really taken back by this, asking his sensei about why everybody's treating him more differently than they normally do, especially at Crystallis. With then, the Lion Man explains that he was the former champion. In simpler terms, he was the country's leader 10 years ago. Hearing this, Izuku was really taken back by this. Even Edward and Ymir. Dorgan, on the other hand, heard rumors about it, but he didn't really believe it until now. With then, soon, Izuku wanted to know why would he leave Gaoleeo, even though he's no longer the champion or its leader. It seems like the people still look up to him quite a bit, like that of a teacher, and that's of a wise counselor in a way. With that, Gaoleeo couldn't help but stroke his beard as he tells him that it was because he left in disgrace. It's because he lost. Once a champion loses in the Colosseum to be the leader of Gaoleeo, they can't return back for at least an entire year. They can return afterwards, but Gaoleeo realized that why would he want to return? He could use his time to explore the world of Taltius, basically gain more recognition this way, and which he did. Even though he was a beast human, he still gained a lot more respect and a lot more power. With then, Izuku couldn't help but respect his teacher, his sensei, even more after this. But then, Edward got the idea, why not basically take part in the tournament, as Ymir couldn't help but get excited too, but realized that she's not really good at martial arts, so she thinks she'll just sit this one out. With then Dorgan say that he's willing to take part, but he would prefer if he can just he would prefer if he just be in the stands. And secretly said to himself that he wants to flirt with a couple of ladies after all. With then Izuku asking Gaoleeo if he wants to tag along, with Gaoleeo saying that he has no interest in taking part in this year's tournament. With that, soon a man being that of a demonic human, walks up to the group as he knows Gaoleeo. This man being the current champion, the current leader of Gaoleeo, his name being Dexton. With Izuku taken back by this, that the current champion, that the leader being Dexton, as Dexton was the one who defeated Gaoleeo in battle 10 years ago, and is still the current champion and leader of Gaoleeo. With that, Izuku couldn't help but get somewhat annoyed at how much that Dexton basically is looking down on Gaoleeo, on his teacher, his leader. But then Dexton noticed that Izuku, as he looks at him, he can tell that he has a strong aura to him, a strong sense of courage and will. realizing that Izuku is actually the hero who was summoned by Crystallis. Within him smirking, asking him, challenging him to the tournament this year, and seeing if he can make it all the way to the finals to face against him to become the leader and the champion of Gaoleeo. As after saying this, he couldn't help but laugh. Within, Ymir couldn't help but say that guy being an asshole. But Gaoleeo's saying that he may be an asshole, but he's a skilled fighter. He was able to defeat me, so he isn't a pushover. Even after hearing that, Izuku is still ready and is still ready to give it everything he's got. With then Izuku heading to the tournament. However, as he's heading to the Coliseum to register for the tournament, he sees quite a bit of people that seem out of place. A couple of, humans and elves that actually seem more like aristocrats or that of nobility, like this, but different nobility than the ones in Crystallis. Within Dorgan soon explained to Izuku that the nobles from the Empire always come to Gaoleeo to make bets. Sometimes they register their own personal fighters to fight for their own behalf. Sometimes it being adventurers, and sometimes it's always their own personal slaves, so they don't have to share the winnings with the adventurers. With then Izuku hearing this, as he's really surprised about this. With then as he continues going through the streets heading to the Coliseum, he soon hears multiple people asking the guards and the fighters for help, searching for missing loved ones that end up going to the Coliseum and then they never come back. With that, Izuku was really taken back about this. With then, they finally make it to the Coliseum, being the top of the canyon. With then, Izuku and Edward register for the tournament. As the first matches go on, they basically face against a couple of no-name adventurers and a couple of slaves from the Empire, which goes on for at least the next 2 days. It's on the third day that things begin to become a little bit, crazy. When Izuku and Edward were heading back to to the end of where they're staying at, they were soon about to be jumped by a couple of thugs in the city, some being regular humans and some being beast humans, with them saying that they won't hurt them too badly if they come with them peacefully. After hearing this, the two couldn't help but laugh, as the thugs couldn't help but ask them in that of annoyed tone on what's so funny. Within Izuku basically telling them that they have no idea who they're messing against. The thugs tried using that of, throwing axes, short swords, and knives to basically take out Izuku and Edward. With Izuku not even using his swords or his spears, he just actually uses his hand-to-hand combat, countering each and every one of their attacks easily without even trying. Alongside Edward as well, as he's not even trying as well. It's too easy, to be honest. With that, they were able to take on the bandits easily without even breaking a sweat. With then asking, what made you guys think that you could take us? With then one of the thugs saying, we're sorry. We thought it'd be easy to kidnap you. We were paid by the nobles to kidnap you guys. With then, both Edward and Izuku were taken back as the Empire nobles tried to kidnap them, as now the bells in Izuku's head began to connect on why there are tons of missing people all across the kingdom. The nobles from the Empire have been kidnapping the fighters, Edward, hearing this, puts one of the thugs against the wall and was about to bring his arm back and punch him, asking for information. As the thug was freaking out, saying that their job was to only kidnap them and take them to the nobles that hired them. They didn't plan on basically try to wait and ask. They didn't ask for anything else or gave any other specific details except that. Within hearing this, Edward soon put his hands down and dropping the thugs, as he soon yells at them to scram, with them leaving. After that, Izuku and Edward told everyone else about this, as now it's kind of crazy knowing that multiple people have been kidnapped by the Empire's nobility and most likely were forced into slavery. With that, Izuku couldn't accept this. Within him basically running out, as he plans on heading to speak with Dexton, as he's the current leader. And why would he allow the Empire's nobles to kidnap his own people when he's sworn fealty to that of the Holy Republic of Crystallis? With them heading to one of the most fanciest houses in the capital, as it being Dexton's house, the house of the champion. Within Izuku busting in, asking for questions. Within Dexton basically saying that he doesn't know much about why the Empire keeps stealing fighters, but he's trying his best to prevent it. With Izuku saying that he's not really doing much. Within Dex saying he already knows that, and that he's not really much of a leader. All that he is a fighter. Within Izuku basically stopped yelling at the demonic human, as then Dexton basically explains that he's nothing but a crowd pleaser. He's not really, as many of the other people do all the hard work and doing their best to keep this kingdom going. If anything, he would prefer it if Gaoleeo stayed champion and leader. He was better at it than he did. And Dex regrets it even more now, knowing the fact that Gaoleeo would never want to become champion or the leader of Gaoleeo ever again. Now knowing the state that the country is in because of him. With this, Izuku begins getting frustrated, as then he was about to storm out before saying one last thing, as he tells him that he plans on defeating him and becoming champion. And once he wins, he's going to fix Gaoleeo for the greater good of the people, and that he swears to defeat them no matter what. After saying this, Izuku leaves with that of confidence and greatness in his heart. After this, the tournament continues for the past couple of weeks, with days going by. Izuku and Edward did have a couple of run-ins with more thugs, and even some mercenaries actually were paid off to basically capture them for the Empire. With that, they were able to beat them, but thanks to Gaoleeo stepping in to taking care of the mercenaries, they were still able to continue the tournament pretty easily. With then both Dorgan and Ymir doing some investigation on the side, as they tell both the boys alongside Gaoleeo that the nobles come to the kingdom to make tons of bets and money off their own personal fighters, given that the Empire's not really doing so well financially. Not only that, slave labor is basically the cheapest labor right now, and taking fighters here in the Empire and making them into slaves is the best way to make free money off of them without having to waste quite a bit. With this, Izuku, Edward, and Gaoleeo were all pissed alongside Dorgan and Ymir. With now, they have more of a reason to put an end to the tournament, with it now being the semi-finals between both Edward and Izuku, as both best friends were about to pair for fight. However, for some weird reason, Edward basically throws the fight. With Izuku was surprised about this, as he wanted to fight his best friend. He wanted to fight him to see on which one of them was the strongest. But then Edward soon shook his head and removed his goggles, telling him that he needed to take on the champion. He needed to beat him. He needed to take down all of the nobles and save the innocent people, no matter what. With that, Izuku couldn't help but smile. Within Edward saying that, if they basically took a huge amount of people away from the tournament, from the Coliseum, there might be some people hiding out in the outskirts of the city. It'd be best to find them. With Izuku's party members doing that of a search mission, finding all of the kidnapped fighters, Izuku will be fighting against the champion, giving it his all. With that, it's now the next day, the final day of the tournament, the final day to decide on who will be the champion, the leader of the kingdom of Gaoleeo. With this, Gaoleeo begins appearing in the Coliseum alongside Izuku, with Gaoleeo wielding his massive hammer, even wearing his combat gear as it being one single shoulder pad, with having that of a long cloak around his neck, wearing that of armored pants and armored boots, with him having that of his trademark mark. As for Izuku, he's still wearing his traditional uniform and everything. However, he's not using his swords. He's using his gauntlets and preparing to fight one-on-one, with Dexton soon screaming out, "Hey, little hero, you think you can fight me with just your bare hands? Trust me, what chance do you got?" With then Izuku soon saying, I would use my swords against you. I am more proficient using them, but it's hand-to-hand combat I'm more familiar with, and not only that, and also I'm feeling lucky because I will be defeating you for the good of the people. With then Izuku getting in a combat stance, and Dexton preparing his hammer, getting ready to fight. As then the announcer tells them to begin, with Dexton having that of amazing speed, giving his massive size, and Izuku as they both clash in the center with a huge shockwave, with a couple of dusts getting sent flying from it, as Izuku prepares tons of punches and kicks, trying his best to get the upper hand and overwhelm him with his immense speed. However, Dexton isn't really that fazed by the young hero's attacks, as he's faced against tons of people like Izuku before, so there's no difference. As then he swings his hammer down as he continues dealing swing after swing after swing, and Izuku doing his best to dodge each one. As then another powerful swing was coming at him, as Izuku having a hard time trying to dodge the strike. However, he actually does by lowering his upper body down, and then putting a handstanding and dealing a powerful kick to Dexton's shin, as he soon knocks him down to the ground after a blast hit like that. But then he catching his breath, trying to catch from the pain and strike that he was dealt. With then Izuku stepping back, trying his best to catch his breath and get some ground away from him, with the crowd screaming and roaring for the strike, as not even a single martial art has been thrown just yet. With then Dexton couldn't help but smirk, saying, You know, you really were trained by that old bastard. Not bad. Not bad. Within, Izuku saying, he's trained me so much when I was a kid. He's done so much for me. I'm not going to leave everything that Gaoleeo has taught me to be used for nothing. And for somebody like you, you're supposed to be protecting your people, and yet you're doing nothing. Within, Dexton couldn't help saying, I always wanted to be the leader of this kingdom, my homeland. When I saw, as he began to explaining that, he always looked up to Gaoleeo. He always looked up to how strong and how powerful he was, and how much he led his people to a great and prosperous future, to make a land that even that of demonic humans such as himself can live in peace. So Dexton trained hard, day in and day out, where he would be strong enough to rival his idol, rival the man that he saw as his greatest sense of strength. As once he was 19 years old, and he was able to prepare, and he was able to challenge Gaoleeo, he was able to win, able to take him down, and he became the leader of his nation, his homeland. As for 1 month, it was great, but as things went by, and all those things began piling up to what people needs and wants came up, mostly before the challenge and battle, as it just overwhelmed him to the point that the Empire began taking advantage of this. The nobles began taking advantage of Daxton's weaknesses and began stealing fighters, stealing proud people of his kingdom and nation, as he tried his best to actually go to the Empire and saying that that rogue nobles have been taking his people. However, doing so would also create a state of war. And given that the demonic humans have been attacking countries, he couldn't just strike at a kingdom that's also suffering as well, a nation that's been attacked. Plus, even if he wanted to, he couldn't. Given that he sworn fealty to the Holy Republic of Crystallis, that fealty said that he couldn't attack any other kingdom that was run by high humans, being humans, elves, and dwarves. If he did so, the kingdom of Gaoleeo would be annexed and then attacked by all the others, by order of the Seraphim faithful. That Dex was put into a hard place and was not really the true leader that his kingdom needed. He was not the champion that they needed. But even so, he has to be the champion. He has to show his strength. He has to show his strong will that he can still keep moving forward. Being the champion is the only thing that keeps his people happy and hoping. And so he continues to stand up, as then he prepares to activate his own unique art as he screams out, "Divine Drive!" As then pure pulsing energy begins flowing from Daxton, as soon the crowd begins rowling, with Izuku was kind of surprised with the power coming from the demonic human, as Izuku was shocked, wondering on what kind of art was that. As wanting to answer Izuku's question, Daxton begins to explain that the art he's using is called a drive art. It's basically a state of enhanced power. It enhances a person's both physical, magical, and mental power. They're even able to go beyond their limits, as he tells them that anyone can use a drive art. Within, Izuku about to get completely overwhelmed now, with then Dexton actually moved so fast that Izuku couldn't even react, as then he was slammed by his hammer upwards before being jumped into the air. As Izuku gets his, bearings once again, the two began to battle into the air, with Izuku trying to deal countless blows of punches and kicks. However, each blow is basically not even a chance to get by. However, Dexton slams him with his hammer once again, slamming him to the ground from the strike. As then, Izuku feeling tons of pain from the hit, with everyone cheering for their champion. As Izuku feels like he's met his limit. If this guy was able to defeat his master, what chance does he have? As then Izuku began to realize that he's not just fighting for his friends or fighting to get stronger. He's fighting for the people who need to be saved. He's fighting for his friends who are risking their lives to save the innocent people who are taken by the nobles. Because of this, Izuku couldn't just sit by and allow this to happen, as he feels a pulse running through him. He feels like he's learned something new. As then a notification from his menu begins to show up, as it tells him you have accessed the radiant drive of light. In this form, you're able to go beyond your limits and use all the arts and as much as you like before time runs out. Izuku was shocked, as then he couldn't help but smirk. Dexton sees the saying, basically gone senile, kid. Izuku standing back up, spitting up a little bit of blood before he gets back in his stance. And then he screams out, "Radiant Drive Light!" A burst of pure white energy soon erupts from Izuku's body, as it even had that of a golden hue. Everybody was surprised and shocked. Even Dexton was surprised, saying, "But he didn't have any showing that he had a drive art. Did he just get it now?" Even outside, as Gaoleeo, Edward, Ymir, and Dorgan were taking care of all of the mercenaries and thugs that were hired by the nobles to kidnap the fighters, they could see the burst of energy coming from the Colosseum out to in the capital. Ymir saying, "Izuku, that's Izuku's power. I could feel it from here." Izuku saying, "I'm going beyond. I'm going past my limits. I'm going to go plus Ultra!" After screaming this, he was soon already in front of Dexton, but Dexton's eyes began widening before Izuku began dealing a powerful uppercut, and then dealing another powerful punch, and another, and another, and another, before he steps back, spinning, as soon a pulsing light begins radiating from his punch, as he screams out, "Plus Ultra Art! Shining Smash!" As then he deals a powerful blow to Dexton, as then the guy spits up a little bit of spit and blood and was sent into the center and into the wall of the Colosseum and busting right through it as well. With this, everybody was shocked and surprised, as even Izuku was shocked and surprised. He looking at his menu, as it's soon saying, "You have unlocked a new type of art known as a plus ultra art. Can only be activated during that of a drive moment. Remember to use it sparingly, because you only get one time. You can only use it once per day." Izuku saying, "Good to know." The announcer screams out that the winner is Izuku Midoriya. With that, everybody begins cheering for the young hero. However, the nobles, on the other hand, of the Empire began getting pissed that they lost a lot of money that Dexton lost, that the champion for 10 years lost to one kid. Within, it was as Izuku stands back up, Dexton, pretty bloodied and beaten, with bruises all across his body, blood coming from his mouth and ears and nose, drops his hammer and then brings up Izuku to stand on his feet, telling him, "On your feet, new champion. A leader of a country needs to stand and pronounce to his people." Within, Izuku saying, "Oh, right. I am the leader, am I? So, what's your first decree, new champion?" Within, Izuku, clearing his throat, catching his bearings, as then he soon says, "I, Izuku Midoriya, the hero who's come to save the people of this world, I wish to do what I can to protect everyone from the demonic lord, and I hope that many of you from Gaoleeo come to aid me, not because of your former leaders pact an oath to the Crystallis Republic, no, but because I wish for your aid. You do not need to be forced to fight for my behalf. I just wish for your help." After hearing this, all of the civilians of Gaoleeo stand up and saying, "We swear, our champion, our hero, Izuku Midoriya." With that, except many of the nobles were actually taken back by this. And then Izuku saying, "Also, any nobles or any people from the empire, I wish for you to return to your kingdom at once. Any people from the empire are forbidden to come to Gaoleeo ever again." Within hearing this, many nobles were actually surprised and shocked, as many of them were pissed and angry at this bold declaration from Izuku. Within soon, Izuku's party, with tons of other competitors and fighters who were missing for the past couple of weeks, with many of the civilians, began screaming out for their loved ones' names. Within, Izuku began saying, "You nobles have been kidnapping innocent people of this kingdom for too long. From now on, you are forbidden from ever doing such a thing. And if you do, the kingdom of Gaoleeo, will go to war with the empire. Is that understood? Take this to your emperor." With that, everybody was shocked and surprised. However, the natives all cheered and soon told the nobles to leave at once or be arrested for being forbidden from being in the country. After this, all the nobles from the empire left the kingdom of Gaoleeo and returned back to the Rivish Empire. But then, Izuku and the others began dealing up a little bit of laws, and as Izuku still needs to unite all the other kingdoms, the empire is up next. Now, because knowing this, he's going to need to confront the emperor for what he said. After all, being the leader of a country. Within, Edward soon told him that he also needs to tell the Pope at Crystallis that he's now a kingdom leader. Within, Izuku saying, "Nah, I'm not. Far from it." Within, he's soon saying, "Dexton, I want you to hold my spot as the leader for at least for the time being until my mission is done." Within, Dexton saying, "Wait, are you sure? I mean, I was horrible." Within, Izuku saying, "Yeah, but now you have a reason to do something. You have to help." Within, a couple of people of Gaoleeo soon came in to Dexton's office, or should I say Izuku's new office, as they're all willing to help Dexton with any affairs or any problems that they have, as they're all pretty familiar with them now. With this, Dexton saying, "Izuku Midoriya, I ask fealty to you. If I could join your party whenever you need me, whenever you call, I will be there. My champion, my hero. As he kneels down before Izuku, with Izuku blushing quite a bit, with then saying, I'm always willing to have more people in my party, no matter what. With then saying, oh, I don't want to join on your journey. No, I just say, whenever you need my help, I figure you need things to take care of, especially now since you declared war against the Empire. With Izuku saying, yeah, I'm going to try and take care of that before things escalate. With then Dorgan saying, well, really glad that the journey to the Empire is only a 3-day journey. With this, we would have enough time to make it there before any of the nobles do anything stupid. So we should probably wake up early tomorrow. With then Izuku saying, yeah, that's a good idea, Dorgan. With soon, Dexton goes up to Gaoleeo saying, Gaoleeo, I want to say it's okay, kid. It's okay. It's not, honestly, being a leader isn't as easy as you think it is. And that's why I basically wanted to travel the world and experience on the things I messed up on. I realize I'm not really perfect as a leader as well. I mean, I was able to keep things stable and make sure that nobody did anything stupid. But still, there were some things I didn't do right. So, you're willing to try and make up for those mistakes. I think you're still willing. And besides, you got Izuku here for you. Knowing him, he'll be a great inspiration for you as well. After this, Izuku couldn't help but blush again from the compliments that he's getting from everybody and from his master once more. After this, the others began heading to the Empire to prevent a war. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Also, please check out my Discord and gaming channel. Links be in the description below. Next short will probably come out in the next couple of days as well. So with all that said, this is Isekai, signing out. Later guys, take care.